Today we're going to be talking about validating your HTML and CSS. This is by far the most important thing you need to do before you turn in an assignment. And it's something that you need to do, while you're developing your code and after you place your code on the CTEC server before you fill out the project scoring sheet for your instructor, okay? You want to ensure that your HTML code and your CSS code has been validated. Today I'm going to show you a few ways that you can validate both your HTML and CSS code. In a future video I will be showing you how to install some tools directly in Firefox that will also assist you in validating your HTML and CSS code. Okay, let me just bring up Firefox on my PC here, and you can see I've created, a sample web page. And believe it or not, this web page, not believe it or not, this web page looks kind of correct, right? It's rendering kind of the way I wanted it to. But, lo and behold, there are some problems. There are some issues. There's one error in the HTML, and there's one error in the CSS. But Bruce, you're saying, hey, everything looks okay and it's rendering correctly, but I'm just really lucky right now because the browser knows that Bruce makes mistakes and it's compensating for my mistakes. Okay, while the browser may do this, it's something that we're not allowed to do, right? Because we're writing to web standards, right? HTML and CSS. Well, there are tools that allow us to validate, like I said earlier, our HTML. But before I do that, let me show you in my HTML right over here. I have a paragraph right here that doesn't have a starting, p tag. It's got an ending p tag way off to the right there, but there is no ending. There's no starting paragraph tag. Okay, so I'm going to hop back into Firefox, and I'm going to go to a URL. Okay, actually, let me go to here. It is. Okay, no, that's not it either. All right, here it is. Validator.w3.org, right here in the address bar. I need you to write this down. Validator.w3.org. Better than writing it down is to bookmark it in your browser. It's going to become your best friend. Okay? Now, you can see here that there are three ways to validate your HTML code. One by the URI, right? That's the URL. Validate by file upload, where you can actually, if I click here, it'll allow me to upload my HTML. And I can validate by direct input, which allows me to copy and paste my code into the screen here. My favorite is, by URI, right? Because I'm always working on the server. I'm always, that's where I work. You may work, locally, and you may want to upload the file yourself or validate, by pasting in the HTML. Everything, all the results are going to be the same. So let me just get the URL on the server. Let me find it here. Okay, there's where it is on the CTEC. There it is on the CTEC server. I'm having a hard time today selecting things. Okay, now I copied it. So now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to paste in the URL, the URI, to my web page, and you'll notice this More Options drop down here. I'm going to click on Show Source, and Show Source, and I'll show you why. And I'm going to click on Check. And look at that. It told me, it's saying, Bruce, you have one error and one warning in your code. For now, don't worry so much about the warnings. Let's worry about the errors, okay? So let's go down, and if I go down here, it'll show me. It says line 32, column 815, no P element in scope, but a PN tag seen. So it saw my closing P tag, but it didn't see my opening P tag. And again, it's saying line 32. And if I click on this link here, it's going to take me right in the validator to see what part of my HTML that code was. So now, if I go back into Notepad++, look at that. It's telling me exactly where to go and fix my error. Now, typically you're going to have more than one error when you write HTML code. Okay, for the purposes of this short demo, I'm just showing you, the one error. Okay, so if I go in here whoops, I go in here, and I correct that. I save it. I go back into WinSCP, okay, and I take my HTML document here and I copy it over, okay. I go back to the validator, and I click on revalidate right over here, lower right, and it says this document was successfully checked as HTML5. Woohoo! Let's go party. Okay, everything's good there. Okay, so that's HTML validation. And as I said before, you have other ways to validate it. You can copy and paste or upload the HTML file itself. I'll let you experiment with that, on your own. Now, CSS. Let's move on. There's another URL I want you to write down, and let me just shorten it up here for you, and you'll see it on the screen. I'll put a little note there, but it's jigsaw.w3.org/CSS-validator. Okay, you'll also see these links in one of the tutorials that we've prepared in Moodle, so be sure to also read that document as well. Now, look at this page. Kind of looks similar to the one we saw when we were validating HTML. Okay, however, this time it's validating CSS, and we have the same options, right? We can go by URI, by file upload, by direct input. Okay, so here I'm going to paste in my URL to my sample page. Are there more options here that I'm concerned about? No, not really. And if I click on check, I know there's an error here. I know there's one error, but that's because I'm the instructor, and I put it there. But it's telling me, look right here, line 10 of my CSS, the H1 tag. It has a value error in the color. Okay, it's saying 44444 is not a color value, which it's not. And you all know that color values in hexadecimal like that require, right, the pound sign, the hash sign before the value. So if I go back into Notepad++, I pull up my CSS, I see at line 10, which it told me, right? If I go back here just to show you, it said line 10. I go back into Notepad++, and it says, hey, Bruce, that's wrong. So I'm going to put in the pound sign, not the dollar sign. I'm going to save it. I am going to go back to WinSCP. I modified my CSS, copy that bad boy up there. And now if I go back to the validator here, okay, I can revalidate my code, okay? And I am just going to revalidate it, and look at that. It revalidated my CSS. See that? It's perfect now. Green, all good, no errors found. I hope you enjoyed this short video on validating your HTML and CSS. Oh, just wait 1 second. One thing I forgot to mention, which is extremely important, right? The validators are not going to validate how pretty or ugly your web page is, right? And tell you whether you've used great colors or not. A lot of people think that's what it does. It doesn't do that. It's not validating your page for prettiness, okay? It's validating your HTML and CSS for adherence to web standards, okay? Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.